Hello, everyone, and welcome to this podcast. My name is Gloria Skye. If we haven't been acquainted before, I've been a practicing evolutionary astrologer for the last 6 years now, as well as a meditation teacher. So, as you can imagine, in these practices, coupled by the fact that I'm a Taurus sun with a Pisces moon, I really aim to always distill the essence of what is happening up above into a very grounded, embodied experience that teaches us to reflect rather than react and explore the nature of our consciousness as it can evolve, as our perspective can shift, the implications that this has on our actions, and the sovereignty to choose again and again and again. So astrology in my world is less about something that's happening to you and an invitation for you to tap into your free will and choose a different way again and again and again. So for this podcast today, we're going to explore the year so far. I'm going to tap on a little bit about the numerology, Saturn's transit through Aries and what that can really teach us as we hit this middle point of the year. I really want to speak about the implications of Jupiter's last moments in Cancer. Jupiter is about abundance, expansion, really about the spiritual growth, which is why we're here tuning into these experiences and podcasts, as well as things that we can do to work with this beautiful, it's actually a gorgeous Gemini New Moon coming up, and how that relates to spell work, thoughts becoming things, which become actions. It's very exciting. It's very fun and dynamic. So let us land into my favorite place in the whole entire universe, the now moment. Before we begin, it wouldn't be a Gloria Skye experience if we just didn't orient ourselves for a moment, placing a hand on the heart if that is available for you, taking in 3 sounds you can hear, taking in a scent, taking in the touch, a few touch points on the body, and 3 slow, deep breaths in your own time. A rich breath in and release. Maybe we play with this breath as we draw in energy from the sky down into the heart. From the heart, pull it down to the earth. From the earth up, back into the heart. And from the heart back up to the sky. Nice. Amazing. So here we are, the middle of the year, and if you are tuning in from the southern hemisphere, we have entered into our winter, our yin season, where things can slow down and we are offered the opportunity to shed all of the yang, masculine doing energy. It's like we've been kind of moving and picking and starting and consuming, and there's just been so much happening this year. This year has felt so incredibly fast, and we can just take a beat. What a beautiful permission slip. What a difficult permission slip, but one that is so aligned with the medicine that this season can offer. So it's important that we start here and we reflect rather than react. I am involved in the following sentence when I can say that I was very anticipated, I felt an anticipatory nature, I should say, to finish the end of last year. There was a lot of collective lore about Chinese astrology, the year of the snake, and it being the end of a numerology, the end of a 9-year as it relates to numerology. Numerology rolls from 1 to the end of 9. It's been a modality that I've been deeply interested in. I'll get into that another time. And there was definitely an ending. We could feel an ending both within us, both outside of us in circumstances. And there was a lot of conversation about us leading into a 1-year, amplified by the fact that there was a year of the horse, amplified by the fact that we have 6 outer planets, changing costumes, changing personalities, changing signs, which innately mean as we work with the electromagnetic energy in the sky, that part of us, our consciousness, is going to be asking to change as well. And as much as there was a lot of conversation about fresh starts and momentum and beginning, what I really believe as we land into Saturn in Aries very shortly is that I think that there was a lot about what we are building and not who is doing the building. What part of you is taking that action and that listening piece before leaping. 1 years are not actually about starting fast, it's about starting true, and it's an initiation into our identity. And the way that we explore our sense of self is we literally have to try it on. We have to fuck around and find out. We have to listen to the contrast. What is feeling expansive? What's actually moving really easily? What is feeling contractive? What is maybe asking me to clear out some internalized shame, to look at maybe the 5-year-old in me that's making these choices because she really wants to belong into a friendship group, but what she doesn't realize is the friendship group that we're trying to strive for, or the partner, or the pattern on Hinge all the time, it's not actually working. The contrast in a 1 year is about direction. Direction, particularly with the year of the horse. This is not my modality, but I can kind of land into the archetype of it all. Is direction is more important than speed, because the horse is gonna go. The horse is gonna gallop. So where you are steering it is a lot more important than the speed that it runs at. And this is where we need to remember that Saturn, who moved into Aries in February 13th, 2026, Daddy Saddy, he's not the sexiest of planetary alignments, so I don't think he gets a lot of airtime. But what we don't realize as humans in this 3D realm, he's actually really important. Saturn as a planet, Saturn is in the part of our consciousness, represents that part of us that sounds like a no. You know, when you're like, oh, should I text him? And that voice is like, no. Or, oh, should I go for that like third piece of cake, even though I'm on a goal to, reduce inflammation in my body? Saturn is like, no. So we can hear that no in our psyche. And the hedonistic part of us that wants desire and pleasure. I'm a Taurus, and I know this so deeply in my heart. We kind of avoid that no. But Saturn innately understands that in a 3D world of karma and consequence, where every action has an equal and opposite reaction, it is what we choose that is going to yield in the results that we want. And sometimes that means discipline, and sometimes that means listening to yourself. And Saturn in Aries energy, the energy of the I am, the energy of the consciousness, the energy of the identity, the truest, purest spark of life, is going to ask us one thing again and again. Is this actually you that's making the choices? Is it a past version of self? Is it the self that's riddled in fear? Is it the self that's trying to keep up with the fucking Joneses because you can see that everyone else around you is making moves and doing things, so you're acting out of panic and fear, and finding that you're spending 5 months on a project, and you get to that 5-month point and you're like, oh my God, I hate this. What have I done? It's all about alignment. It's all about coming back to yourself. And in the realm of Saturn, he is going to restrict, he's going to drain, he's going to give you this stop-start kind of back and forth, push and pull, if it is not aligned. And if it is aligned, you feel it in your body. There's life force, there's momentum, there's energy. Even if you are fucking terrified, there is that fear that is also coupled by that essence of excitement. You know that excitement before you go into a big, dance party. You're about to hop onto a roller coaster. You're scared as shit, but you're also really excited. And that is the essence that is getting you closer to you. So it's less about what you're building and who is the one building that. So you'll find that, again, there'll be blocks. Saturn will slow you down at every point of misalignment so you can integrate and listen before you go further. Saturn is slow by design. Integration takes time. This is the whole point. So I ask you now, in the actions that you've been taking, in the ideas that you've been pursuing, in the people and spaces that you've been chasing, is it you? Or is it a part of you that's been conditioned, or a part of you that has still this internalized shame about who they are, and they're using mechanisms such as avoidance or over grasping, or kind of just being a little bit not too in, not, you're kind of like coasting through it. I'm not going to get too involved, but you know deep down that that's exactly not, it's not where you want to go. So maybe now is a time, especially around this full moon and new moon energy, where you have that permission to stop, be in a 1 year, pivot, try again. In my Astrology of 2026 workshop, I was speaking about this energy of Saturn as being an energy of leap, land, and listen. Leap, land, and listen, this constant iteration. So now in this little point of the year, this midpoint of the year, is listening. And pivoting is not quitting by far. So Saturn is saying that you've learned, where you've needed to be, and now you're diving deeper into what it is true. And this takes us into Jupiter in Cancer's realm, where if some of the words that I've been saying to you do ring true, Jupiter in Cancer is actually the energy to support the excavation of that emotional nature, because thoughts become emotions, which become behaviors. Thoughts become emotions, which become behaviors. So your life is dictated by the choices you make. Saturn, karma, 3D. But the choices you make are dictated by your emotions. Welcome to Jupiter in Cancer. Welcome to this beautiful excavation process before we hit the end of this month in a winter season. Welcome. This is so fucking good. Timely, aligned. It's beautiful. So Jupiter, since it entered into Cancer on June the 9th, has been asking us to redefine our sense of abundance. What is actually nourishing? Is it pursuing an online career? I don't know if that's nourishing to me, because I'm in a season where I'm valuing peace and my nervous system, and abundance for me looks like a life offline. What is abundance? It is, you know what, maybe taking a 20K pay hit, but at least I have 4 days a week and I can cook my food and meal prep and be a lot more efficient, because more doesn't necessarily mean abundance. Maybe less can mean more. What is abundance? Abundance is how it feels on the inside. It is the nourishment. It is the enoughness. Cancer as an archetype is all about governing the emotional realm. So the cheat code here is to ground yourself into that feeling of abundance first, and then the frequency comes from, or the alignment, I should say, the aligned action comes from what feels good. So there is a chance here to audit. If you think about, reflect on the last 6 months, everything that you've done, what felt really good? Even if it was difficult to pursue, what felt fulfilling? What felt peaceful? What felt joyous? What felt easeful? The conversation with a certain friend, saving that money because you're about to go on a holiday. What felt like in alignment? The other part of Jupiter in Cancer, which a lot of people don't speak about, is how much Jupiter in Cancer can bring up elements of grief. And this is because Jupiter in Cancer, and I really noted this from the start, I thought this is really all about inner child work and inner child like family systems. It's like recognizing the parts of you that are making the choices for your life. Again, that parts work. Like, is it the 5-year-old self that really wanted to belong? Is it the 17-year-old self that got bullied out of high school? Is it the 19-year-old self that developed an eating disorder? Like, there is a chance here to go back and do beautiful inner child work. I've been working with an IFS guidance counselor that has just been profoundly enlightening for me to recognize where my emotions hijack my nervous system and I get into freeze response, and I will completely self-sabotage beautiful things in my life because there are still parts of me that I haven't healed or integrated to be able to align myself or build that capacity for safety. Again, Jupiter and Cancer, capacity for safety, expanding Jupiter, that capacity for safety. Are you doing your yoga nidra practices? Are you breath working? Are you walking? Are you feeding yourself well? What is nourishing your capacity? Because when Jupiter rolls into Leo on June 30th, the amplification is coming. Leo magnifies the ego. And if we don't have, again, these parts of us in check, and we haven't taken that aligned action emotionally to develop this beautiful self-concept, again, who is taking the action? Ego, Leo is going to amplify this. So if you're going to roll into the end of next month knowing that I've been in alignment, I've been listening to myself, and I've been following through even in the smallest capacity, as soon as Leo rolls through, that part of you is going to be amplified. And again, this isn't now or never. There's always a chance to choose and go back. And the medicine, what is time really? But that's a conversation for a cocktail. But this is why the inner work right now matters so much. And this is this beautiful window of opportunity to be building from the truest self, not the performative self, not the scared self, not the fearful self. And do I? Don't I? Fuck it. At the end of last year, if you've been following my story for a little bit, or if you're new here, I have been moving through like not a little bit, see, I'm downplaying it. I have been moving through a chronic illness that I've been struggling to accept in myself. I'm very much at a different place at the moment. But last year I was in a really, really yucky place, and I was chasing my dreams and dragging my body behind me, and I was feeling in crazy despair states because I could see peers that had just started in my space, like taking leaps and bounds and making all these amazing career goals. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? And in this panic, I was moving through a personal one year actually. I was kind of like starting all of these different projects. And one of the projects that I've started was Club Cosmic. It was this astrological radio show where I incorporated my music industry background with my astrology knowledge. And it was so much fun, but I really didn't have the capacity to be very embodied or be involved or love that experience because I wasn't embodied on the inside. And I had to perform. It wasn't the true self. It was kind of like, fuck, I've got to do this thing, so much so that I didn't even finish it. And I've been clearing a lot of shame around that. But anyway, but what did happen was I managed to, or some part of me managed to, manifest a live Club Cosmic session at Australia's biggest music festival. And I remember I was like, oh my God, this is huge. And I had this conversation with this girlfriend going, girl, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to get up on stage and be there. And a few of my friends were going, some work there, and I was taking my sister, and my girlfriend was like, girl, just go. This is what you do. You always get to that level and then you sabotage it by playing small. This is not your time to play small. And I went, fine. So we got to be on the valley, and preparing for my notes the entire time through, and I got on the stage and I started speaking and I was playing the music, and I remember looking out into the crowd and none of my friends were there. And in that moment, I didn't really process it then, but there was like this numbness that really came alive. And I got off stage. My sister knew straight away. She could just sense the shift in my energy. And she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, none of them showed up." And she was like, "I know, I'm really sorry." And I got in the car and I cried and I cried and I cried all the way home. And I remember thinking two things in that moment. I had this split simultaneous train of thought, which was firstly, I had every right to be disappointed, but also if I was really, really in alignment with where I needed to be and being so proud in that moment, what an amazing achievement, nothing could have wavered me from that center. And at the same time, and I think this is important to share, I was in week 4 of To Be Magnetic. It's an amazing manifestation course by Lacey Phillips, collective in LA. I was doing that inner child healing program, and week 4 was about bringing forward the part of you from the age of 16 to 21. And that was when I was bullied out of high school and I was completely rejected from friendships. And isn't it funny that the universe had somehow initiated me into an experience where I was met with that exact same feeling that I was trying to avoid or deny within myself. And I just had this huge ego crash moment. And I was like, no more. I'm putting astrology down. I'm putting all of this down. I need to find myself again. I need to find my voice again. I need to find my capacity, find my strength. And it was this massive 6 months of alignment. And like, look at me now. I'm bloody recording a podcast effortlessly on a screen. I couldn't even think of doing anything worse in the last 3 years. And I'm feeling so aligned right now and alive. But anyway, interesting. So let's land into the Gemini New Moon. So here we are, a new moon, and it is peaking at, actually, let me get the dates up on my calendar. One moment, please. Oh, goodness. Excuse me, I'm going live and I am not going to re-record this. And this is my fault for not being organized. One moment. All right. So if you're tuning in from Australia, it's happening on Monday, the 15th of June at exactly 12:54 p.m. And if the story about my crash brought up anything in you and it taught me anything, it's that the story you tell about who you are or what you're building is not actually neutral. The stories we create about our lives, it actually shapes everything. And right now, this little cosmic gift is handing us a little pen where we are able to rewrite a story. And it's not from a gloomy perspective of like, oh my God, all right, here we are. It's asking us to write a new story from the perspective, from the Gemini lens of what if it does work out? And I know that this can feel like a stretch, especially as someone that still struggles to feel safety. In my reality, having gone through huge bouts of financial trauma, which, as you can imagine, just completely disorients your ability to feel safe in the world, and you're kind of constantly bracing for a piano to fall on your head. When I used to hear people say like this, I used to think, fuck you, this is so inconsiderate. You do not understand my story or my lens. And if this is you, where you are in a space right now where safety does feel like a little bit of a stretch, I invite you to let me think of a practice that I'll share. So firstly, just listen, just stay curious, actually. Let's just all stay curious. Let's not be too fixed. This is me jumping into control state at the moment. So Gemini rules the stories, the languages, it rules thought patterns. And this new moon is asking us, what are the underlying storylines that are running your life? not your intentions, the actual operating stories. And Mercury, Gemini's ruling planet for this moon, is in Cancer, where there's this really amazing chance to dip in to the stories that are actually filtering from the past into the present and alchemizing them into rewriting. So it's an invitation to audit the inner house. Are these stories that I've inherited? Are these stories that are still running programs from 6 months ago that I haven't had a chance to let go? What would that look like? Even 2% of a dialogue change. Again, we're not asking to put you out of your body or make you feel numb, but like, what storylines, again, that are still running programs from the past can help you integrate and think about what it is that you want to bring into the future. So the pattern is the storyline, and the new moon is the time to name it, examine it, and consciously choose something different. So with the moon cycles, they're almost like a thread, right? So I keep a moon diary personally. I always like to audit what's happening across moons, and it's really interesting because, for example, we had a Sag full moon last month, and then when we go to the Sag new moon later on in the end of the year, you can look at what you were releasing around the Sag full moon and then how that's come into completion around the new moon. It's amazing how these cycles work. It's beautiful, and it gives you this orientation of like, wow, I really do have time. Wow, spirit really does work. But again, in Saturn's realm, it takes time. It's slow. Alas, this energy is about asking us to plant seeds, to write new stories in the new direction. So whatever loops you'd closed during the Sag new moon a couple of weeks ago, wherever direction you had decided to point your arrow, and you can always do this now. Again, time is not linear. Ask yourself, what direction am I focusing on? And then what storylines, what is the programming what is the fuel that needs to help the car go in that direction? Your belief is the fuel. So another invitation here is that energy is actually lighter than you think around a Gemini new moon. So this doesn't have to be something that's heavy or serious. I mean, I love to, from like a Gemini lens, gather around friends, grab a glass of wine, pull out some tarot cards. If drinking isn't your thing, grab some tea, pull some tarot cards and like have a conversation. What do you think? No grabbing ChatGPT, no nothing. What do you think this represents about your life right now? Look at the pictures, get playful and have a conversation, because we all become students and teachers from these really beautiful moments. The other thing is, no, I think I'm just going to leave it there. I can feel my energy beginning to dip a little bit. And I think for me, that's an indication that I need to wrap it up. So let's just bring it home super quickly. I want to remind you that you have full permission to reflect, that the next 3 weeks, you actually don't have to push. It's a beautiful time to excavate, be tender, feel, feed, build your capacity to keep the momentum going. There is no shame in pivoting and starting again. This is about returning to what's true. And this is about returning to who is the one doing the building, not what is doing the building, because we have just started a very fresh cycle. We are at the beginning. So full permission to land there. Oh my God, we're almost at exactly 30 minutes. Big loves, and it was a pleasure to connect. I will be back next month, And if you haven't liked or subscribed, it would mean the world to me. Please comment on anything that rang true, and we will connect back again after I'm back from my beautiful trip away. Big, big, big loves. G.